All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of Point Blank Zero. If any stage you hear me say something you don't quite understand, it might be beneficial if you haven't already to go back and watch part 1 because there'll be a lot of terminology and some of the theory aspects that I'll cover in that I'm not going to recover in this. And if it's not making sense to you, then you are definitely going to have to go back and watch part 1. For those of you who have seen part 1, let's continue on. So using the calculator that I pointed out in the first episode, we decided to go out and zero Pete's rifle for him. Put all of his data into the calculator, and this is what he came up with. So he came up with his first zero is going to be 28 metres. So we set out a target at 28 metres, and then the first thing we needed to do was to bore sight his rifle. So all we did was put the rifle on the table, take out the bolt, and then look through the bore, make sure that the bore was aligned with the target, and then put his reticle onto the centre of the target. All right, so Pete fired a 3-round group. Now, when you look at your sight, it's going to have adjustments, usually for 100 yards or 100 metres, depending if you've got an imperial or a metric sight. His one was quarter MOA at 100 yards. Whatever adjustment we needed to make, if it was at 100 yards, we times it by 3. So if you need to move 1 click right, then you would make 3 clicks right because of how close the target is in relation to subtending that sight. So I think you're right for line for now until we go to longer range. What we'll do is come down another 4. All right, so once we were happy with his zero at his 28 metre mark, as discussed in the previous video, we took the target back to 100 metres and we knew that his rounds were going to be landing 5.3 centimetres high at 100. One thing I like to do, if you're zeroing at here and you know how high it's going to be, I put a second dot on the target. So you're aiming at the normal centre bullseye, but put a dot. The centre of this dot is 5.3 centimetres high, which means that I don't have to really guesstimate where my main point of impact is going to be. I know it should be centered around that dot. It just makes things a little bit easier. You don't have to. I find it just makes things a little bit easier. Alright, so he's fired his next group, and they are a little bit low and a little bit right. Now, every time I've done this type of zero, I always fire the rounds at 100, after doing a 28, at 100 metres they will go right, and that is because of your spin drift. And you want to know more about that, go back to video 1. Right, once we've made our final adjustments, fired confirmatory. The round is hit where it needs to be, 5.3 centimetres high. So there you go. There's Point Blank Zero, the practical aspect of it, just to tie together some things you might not have fully understood from the first video, just to show you what we're actually doing when we hit the range and applying this type of zero. Hope you got something out of that. If you've got any questions about Point Blank Zero, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to it. If you've got any questions about anything else ballistics related, also stick in the comments and I will try to answer your question. Anyway, until next time, hooroo.